Hey, welcome back to Milton Daily Homes. Chuck here, and hope you had a great weekend. The weather's starting to get nice, starting to feel like summer finally. We're doing a buyer class this Wednesday at 7 p.m. and the details are just over there. You can click that link or you can go to miltonbuyerclass.com. And what you're going to learn is how to get up to $10,000 or more of free government money to buy your first home. We're also going to talk about all the steps involved, all the costs, how to pay down your mortgage sooner, what mortgage specialists actually look at, and how to avoid what we call the rate trap, how to get access to homes before other buyers even know about them. We talk about all the legal process. We put up some home inspection slides, and we'll give you a booklet. It doesn't cost you anything to attend. Just bring a food bank donation because there's a lot of people that really need a food bank donation. So that's a real win-win. I know you're going to love it. Links over there. So let's get started with today's list. And so we've got 23 plus 2 on the Oakville board. Start off with Child's. $259 is the price. And so you'll look at this and say it needs work. And so I think the incorrect approach that a lot of buyers use is they say, well, they're asking $260, so I need to put $30,000 in, so I'm going to offer them $230. But that, I don't know if that makes sense. It's not a logical rationale, because the truth is once that work's done, it could be worth $280 or $290. So actually they've already built in some of the incentive for buying a 4-bedroom condo townhouse at $260. So I would say that, I mean, you're not going to make huge profits from what I'm seeing that needs done and what it would be worth when it's done. It's not, you're not talking about huge margins there. So it's probably priced in a fair range. Child's Drive, this one here is a smaller one. It's a 3-bedroom, and it looks like it's pretty open concept, and they've done some nice finishes. Looks like they've taken care of it, and the yard actually looks a little bit bigger as well. You can actually fit a trampoline, which is hard. Some of these yards are pretty tight, especially if they've got a deck on them. So good value there. Only 1 bathroom upstairs. We've got a 1-bedroom plus 1 on Main Street. This is a Green Life condo. You can see the solar panels. You can see a lot of energy efficient equipment that they've used in this condo, which is why if you read the description, it says it's the lowest condo fees in Canada, geothermal heat, all the rest of it. We'll talk about this a couple times today, but things on top of fridges and on top of cabinets never look good in the real estate photos, so you really want to avoid that if possible. Probably no more than 2 or 3 things. Now it is a tenant inside here, so in terms of how tenants normally leave the place, it's actually in pretty good shape. It's on the 2nd floor, and it's a 1-bedroom plus a den, so it's actually not that far off from some of the other condos like Maple Crossing, for example. It's in the 700 to 800 square foot range. $70 a month on maintenance fees is outstanding. It doesn't include very much, but it's still pretty low. Okay, so there you go. It looks like there's 1 parking there. Got this one on Maple here, a 2-bedroom at $294. Maintenance fees on this are $342. It's a Windsor model, so I think it's 1,002 square feet. From a purchase standpoint, knowing that those ranges are there, being a little over 1,000 square feet, if you're debating between the 2 models, is actually a good place to put it from a future resale perspective, because you're really the lowest rung on the ladder for the over 1,000 square feet. And that's one of the big breaking points that people really look at when they're buying condos is, okay, is it more or less than 1,000 square feet? Dark cabinets, they've got moldings throughout here, and it looks like it's in good shape. So this one compares pretty well. There's another one on the 2nd floor that listed last week, I think, for $303. So this one is beating that hands down. We've got 20 Mill Street at $299. 42 by 132 foot lot, and the thing to be aware of with this is that Bronte Street is widening, so you really want to be careful about how close this one is to the busy street. It probably needs some work. It doesn't have a garage. It's 2 bedrooms. I think it looks like a decent deal, though. I mean, it would be a good alternative to a condo if you could live with the location. Just down the street, there are some of the finest homes in Milton are just down the road. Now we've got Dairy here at $314,900. And so this is the exact same Cherrywood model that you see elsewhere selling between $310,000 and $320,000. The difference here is you've got some condo fees, and they try and tell you all these things about how the condo fees include visitor parking. Well, guess what? Your guests can park on the street. I think it's a waste of time to put this in the same range as stuff that doesn't have condo fees. So we've got this one on Sweeter Court, $339,000, and so it's the same model. Cherrywood model. It's got some upgraded floors. It's got a nice view of the escarpment, but it is not worth $339. I'll tell you that for sure. I would guess that they'd be lucky to even cross $320. You got Kavanaugh Lane at $354. It's an end unit, and it's not very fancy inside, so I don't think these guys are really capable of jumping up. If you see this model go higher than $350, it's usually a function of the upgrades and the finishes inside. So I think that they're a little bit high. You've got Faro Point. It's actually Faro, not Pharaoh's Point, 358.9. And same thing. This one doesn't have a lot of upgrades in it. So we've seen even upgraded versions sell in the 340 to 350 range. So they probably missed the mark on this one here. There's a 3-bedroom and a 2-bedroom elevation. This one's the 3, but there's 3 smaller rooms versus 2 larger. We've got Robert Street here at 369. 3-bedroom, 3-washroom, and so the big thing here is that you can find townhouses for around this price without condo fees, but the thing is that you're not going to be as close to downtown, right? You're going to be a little bit more in the Mattamy areas, south of Derry, that kind of stuff. So it's a great location. So you look at it and you say, okay, maintenance fees of $230 a month. It basically includes garbage removal, snow removal, maybe a bit of maintenance outside, but it doesn't include like water, or heat, or hydro. So that's the debate, is to say, okay, is it better to, buy on location with some condo fees, or is it better to be on the outskirts and have none? I think that's up to the buyer, but it seems like a pretty fair price. Got this one on Farmstead. It's an end unit. It's something around 1,600 square feet. I don't like how it's not open here. So the kitchen is actually behind this wall, so it doesn't have a lot of flow. Like if you're looking at cooking dinner and talking to your guests, or looking at the kids while you're in the kitchen, it's a little bit harder to do. So double sinks upstairs, no finished basement. A lot of these have been struggling to sell, even in the higher 3s. So I just don't see this one really working out at that price. The 9-foot ceilings on the townhouse are certainly nice. So Van Fleet Terrace is $449. Oh, and the other thing is that that's a freehold home, the one on Farmstead, but we call it parcel of tied land, which means that it actually has some condo fees. I think it's between about $60 and $80 a month. This one on Van Fleet is about 1,860 square feet. It's called a Rosewood, and it's a good layout. They've got some upgrades inside. I know that other homes, other semi-detached homes for this size, are selling for a little bit less than $449. So I'd like to see it work out for these guys, but I tend to think that they might be a little on the high side. Same with this one on Holly. So I guess it's funny, people are kind of trying to get a little bit more, but I think that we're in a time of season where the interest rates just went up, and people are starting to think, okay, summer, what am I going to do? So I think you have to be a little bit more aggressive. You really got to pay attention to your competition. You always do, but I think that this time of year you can be perched on precarious. Certain price ranges do tend to slow down a little bit through the summer. Now that can be good news for buyers, because you've got less competition in terms of other buyers out there. And even for sellers, sometimes there's actually less homes for sale now than during the spring. So they've done some upgrades. I tend to think on Holly, it's probably a little bit high on that price. We've got Cedric here at $509. And really, I don't understand why people don't put appliances in these homes. At least make it move-in ready. Someone's still going to have to spring for air conditioning, fencing, window coverings. At least bite the bullet and put some appliances in. You can even write it off as against your investment. So I don't see any reason why someone wouldn't. I actually like the color choices in this home. 3-bedroom holds it back from the $509, which is a pretty hefty price for a single car garage. So we've got Farmstead. It's a Quincy corner, 1,878 square feet. Nice kitchen here. I think they brought this one down from $549. It's okay. It's possible. We've seen actually this model. It's kind of been all over. There's some in the lower 5s. There's a couple that have come close in the mid 5s. So it's a very efficient layout with the 4 bedrooms. There's not a lot of wasted space. And you either like the layout or you don't, because the living dining is almost completely separate from the kitchen family, the way the corner is set up. Bustle Crescent is about 2,100 square feet. The pictures are okay. I think that having some pro photos would have been a good thing for them. Taking away a bit of clutter, and then you've got a forest, and then behind the forest you've got some train tracks, which You probably hear a little bit, although in the summer when the trees really fill in, you start to notice it less and less. And I have heard from people who live close to train tracks that they don't really notice it very much after the first week. So I don't know, I can't speak from firsthand experience, but it is something that enough people have told me that I kind of believe it. So Laurier is at 574.9, and so it's one of only 6 homes built in the 1990s in Milton. So a lot of people don't know that Milton really stopped building at the end of the 80s for the most part, and and then the 90s came and there just wasn't enough water. And so when we saw the growth and the development and everything that happened in this millennium, it's mostly because we had water and gas delivery into town to make it grow. So something like this is it's a little strip of homes. And the thing about the 90s is that there were a lot of contractors available, so it means that the home was built really well. Charlton was the builder. And you've got this nice high ceiling that you won't find, I don't think, anywhere else in this neighborhood. And you've got some nice hardwood floors. You've got a kitchen with granite countertops with an eat-in. And you've got big bedrooms upstairs. There's 3 of them plus a finished basement. And you've got a nice 50 by 100 foot lot. So it's a great looking home. And it's got great curb appeal. And I like it. I think it's a good home. So Trudeau is at 579. And so it's between 23 and 2,400 square feet. It's right on the corner of Trudeau and Louis Saint Laurent. There will be traffic lights here at some point, so that's something to consider. So it's built by Coscorp. When you come in the door, you've got a formal living room, and then you have a dining plus family over here on this side. So there you go. They've just used it as a family, but it's built in the plans as a combined dining family. It's okay. It seems a little bit more basic. The conservation land behind is good, but I really look and say the value wash from being on the corner of what will eventually be 2 busier streets versus having the green space behind, they almost cancel each other out in my books. It's a decent sized lot at 52 by 100. We've got Easterbrook here with no photos. 629 is the price. August 12th is their possession that they're looking for, so that's an important date to know if you're looking at this listing. Whenever there's a specific date quoted, we talked about this last week, is that it's probably because the sellers have somewhere else they need to be. So it's over 2,500 square feet, and it's got a good sized lot, so we'll see what happens. If it's nice inside, it might work, because that's a Sundial home, and Sundial built nice big properties, and it's a good mix for somebody who likes old Milton but also likes new Milton finishes. So the land is about the same size as what you find in old Milton. So Farmstead is 634. It's a 2,300 square foot home, and they've upgraded the kitchen, built-in appliances. It's only on a 36-foot lot, which you usually don't see these creep up into the 6s. So you've got a nice finished basement here. Without the finished basement, you're probably looking somewhere in the 550 to 580 range. Probably closer to 580 because it's a nice kitchen. Is the basement worth $50,000? I don't know. And Farmstead's a bit of a busier street too. We got this one on Grant Way, and so it's over 2,500 square feet plus some finished space in the basement. Not super fancy, but I think the colors are all neutral, and the basement looks like it's done pretty well. Probably not that far off at 649. That's a lot of finished space, and you have the 3 full bathrooms upstairs too, which is a great thing. Messier is about 2,900 square feet, 674. So it seems like the stuff in the higher range is actually not that far off from where they need to be. You've got granite countertops here, and pot lights, and some nice finishes too. They're a little high, but they're not really that far off. So Fenimore is about 29. It's a nice size home, and 679 is the price on this. A little bit lighter color scheme, but I think it compares actually pretty well with what else is out there. It's one of my favorite models. It's called the Mammy Sutton Hills model. And that's it for that list. We move over to the Oakville board, and we've got this Big Daddy over here, 7-bedroom, 6.8 million. And you really start narrowing your audience. I mean, when you start getting up to like the difference between like a 3 million and a 4 million house is not 25%. Usually it's like 100% better. And so it's almost like an exponential difference in homes for the incremental cost. We're talking 100 acres. We're talking about farm use here. So it's a big house. I don't know if somebody writing a check for almost $7 million would be paying for the house at that price. I mean, you'd certainly be looking at the land. And there might be some developments west of Bronte on Lower Baseline, so there might be some future resale potential for the actual land itself. But that's something you want to look into zoning maps and all the research and so on. But I mean, the house is big. It doesn't look like it's completely renovated. And how much more are you going to spend if you're spending 6.8? Minchin Way is at $454. It seems like a fair price. It's a Mattamy home. It's a spirit plan. It's about 1,600 square feet. Looks like you've got 2-car parking in the driveway here, and got a nice front porch. There's your front room, and then it winds through, and then you've got a family room plus a kitchen just in the back here. No hardwood floors. The kitchen's been done pretty well. Stuff on top of the cabinets is what I talked about earlier, is that it never tends to give the right impression in real estate photos. When you go to see it in person, it's not bad, but for some reason in the photos, it doesn't look right. So upstairs you've got a loft space. So that's a little loft where you could put a little computer desk. And then you also have 3 bedrooms here and 2 bathrooms. And hey, look, they've got a bathtub. I don't know why they put that photo. And you've got a toilet seat up. And so because the home is actually on a piece of land that as much as 2,300 square feet goes on, 2,400 square feet, it's got a pretty good sized yard. And that is the story on that one there. So it's certainly... It's right in the range where I'd expect it to be, at about just over $450, and that's the list for today. 25 properties. Hope you can make it to the buyer class, and have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.